Game Lab number 31 is about functions, and I'm going to show you how this works. There is a handout posted on Google Classroom that will help you along maybe a little bit, but here comes the demo. I'll show you how this works. Functions are little bundles of commands that you can kind of make happen anytime you want in a program. And they usually sit down below the draw loop. And if you'll just kind of watch how I do this, and then when you try it, kind of follow my pattern here, you'll be fine. You just have to kind of follow carefully. All right, so let's take a look. In this game, there's a ball. I called them orbs. But there's a ball that comes flying across, and it hits a paddle over on the right-hand side. And up in the top left, you see a kind of a scoreboard thing that says Lost Orbs 0. So we're going to keep track of lost orbs. And lost orbs would be orbs that get past the paddle and run off of the right-hand side. So that's I don't this isn't really a full-blown game. Excuse me, sorry. But that's what we're going to keep track of. If the ball gets by the paddle and goes off the right-hand side, it's considered a lost orb. So we're going to keep track of that. And also, we have to get some paddle control going here. We cannot move the paddle right now. You can't move it up and down, right, left, anything like that. And then also there's one other thing that we're going to have to take care of. If the ball bounces off the paddle and goes back over to the left, it just disappears off the left side. See, that just goes off the left side and never comes back. Well, we don't want that. If it goes off the left side, it needs to respawn and come back again. So we have to take care of that as well. So watch and follow. Here we go. First of all, functions. I'm going to go to the functions drawer, which we haven't used before, and I'm going to use this very first one up at the top. It just says function, and it says my function. What we're going to do first is write a little set of commands that will control the paddle. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to drop it down here. I put some comments in the code to help you along. I'm going to drop it down here right below line number 19 down there. And it says paddle control function there. And so I'm going to give this a name. It needs a name. And I'm just going to call it paddle control. All right, I think that's a good name for it. You wouldn't have to use that name, but you have to give it a name. So I'm going to call it paddle control, and spelling makes a difference. Capitalization makes a difference. You have to pay attention to those kinds of things. What we want to do here is use the keyboard to control the paddle, and it's just going to be an up and down. So let's build that. We've done this kind of thing before. I'm going to say inside that function, all right? I'm going inside that function. And I'm going to say if key down is the up arrow, then we're going to do, these are going to be dot Y's here. And I'm just going to grab a math block, I think, and do it that way. I'll go get another dot Y. And it'll be, by the way, the paddle is just called paddle, surprise, surprise, P-A-D-D-L-E. And I'm going to have to add a negative, and this would be, the number would actually be up to you. I'm going to use 10 as my number, and that's going to have to do with the speed of the paddle, how quickly the paddle moves. So if somebody pushes the up arrow, the paddle should go up the screen. That's what those commands right there will do. Now, I also need to, sorry for the scratchy throat, I also need to take care of what if we need downward motion also. So I'm going to bring over an if, and I'm going to do a key down, and that's going to be the down arrow. And it's going to be a similar thing to this. In fact, I might just copy that. Probably could have copied and pasted the whole thing. I'll paste that in. But this is going to be not a negative 10, but a 10. All right. So take a look at that. If you need to pause the video, right? There it is. If somebody presses the up arrow, the paddle should go up the screen. If somebody presses the down arrow, the paddle should go down the screen. Now here's the other thing about functions that you have to do. Notice that this function called paddle control is outside of the draw loop. Okay. Well, So up here inside the draw loop, I have to kind of tell the computer that I want to use this set of commands. I want to use this function. I want to use this thing called paddle control. And here is how you do it. I'm just going to go to the functions drawer. And this third one down is just a little skinny thing that says my function, and that's all it says. So I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to drop it in right there. I think I'll just put it right above draw sprites there. And what was the name of that function? This is what's called calling a function. It's called paddle control down here. So up here, instead of my function, that's going to have to say paddle control. If you forget to call the function, it's not going to work. Right? And these have to be spelled the same. Paddle control and paddle control have to match. All right. Well, let's reset the program and let's run it, and let's just see if we can control the paddle. And we can. Look, I'm hitting the up and down arrow, and I can control the paddle. Cool. So what happens is, functions help you organize your code, organize your programming into like chunks or sections. And I've got this thing down here called paddle control, and this thing up here, line 13, says, okay, go look at those commands so you know what to do. And the computer says, paddle control, where's that? Oh, it's down here. Oh, okay, I see what I'm supposed to do because it's all right there for me. Okay, so that it's a way of organizing your stuff. All right, so let's go on. Let's do the lost orb function. What if one of those balls gets passed, right? It goes flying off. So here's what we got to do there. And this is going to involve this variable up here at line 8. We're going to count lost orbs. All right, so let's go to work on that. This is going to be a function. So I'm going to bring down the function block. I'll put it right here at line number 31. And I'm going to call it lost orb. Remember, a lost orb is one that gets past the paddle and goes off the right-hand side. So I'm going to give it the name lost orb. It just needs a name. All right, so this inside here, what we're going to check to see is if, and what we're looking at, the little orb, the little ball comes over, and if its X value gets past 400. Okay, so this is going to be, sorry, and the little ball is actually called orb. So if orb.x, sorry, I need to, well, I'll just type it. No, I won't, because I didn't quite do that right. I'm going to go ahead and bring over, I'll just type it in here. If orb.x is greater than 400, right? I'll just do it that way. You could use a greater than thing in the master orb, but I'll just do it like this. If orb.x is greater than 400, that means it got past the paddle. All right. So that's what we're checking. Did it get past the paddle? And if it did, well, all right, there's some things we need to do. For one thing, we need to say lost equals lost plus 1. We are keeping track of lost orbs. So take a look, right? And again, if you're doing this with the video, then pause the video if you need to. But take a look. That's one thing we need to do. That's not all we need to do, but that's one thing we need to do. Now here's another thing we need to do. If the orb did get passed, we need to reset it. Okay, well, we can do that. Let's take care of that. Let's set orb.x back to 0. If it gets off of the right edge, let's set it back to the left edge. And let's also do this. Let's set orb.y to a random number between 0 and 400, because we'd be okay. The thing that makes the game kind of fun is sometimes the orb is up at the top of the screen and sometimes it's down at the bottom. Now let's also do this. Let's give it, we're kind of resetting it back over to the left side, and I'm going to give it a velocity x. Let's give orb velocity x, and let's make that a random number as well. Why not? Let's do that. And I'm just going to stick that like between about 8 and 20, but you could play with those numbers. And again, if you're doing this along with the video and you need to pause the video and take a good hard look at that, right? Now, here's one other small thing I'm going to do so we don't get any kind of weird up and down drift on the orb. I am going to set orb velocity y to 0. And that just makes it so we don't get angular motion here. It doesn't drift up and it doesn't drift down. It's just going to come straight across, and I kind of want that. All right, so now the other thing I've got to do is back up here in the main program up here, right there. The draw loop is up here at line 10. And remember, if you create a function, you have to call it. Oh, okay, so I'm going to go to the function drawer, and I'm going to bring over this little bitty thing that says my function. And what did I name that? What did I name that thing? That was lost orb, L-O-S-T-O-R-B, lost orb. All right, so I am calling the function right there. And if the computer's reading along here and it sees this command, lost orb, what's that? Well, it's going to run down here and look. Oh, there it is. And here it knows what to do. It's all of this stuff right here. Let's check this and see if it works. Let's reset and run. And, it's bouncing off. Oh, well, okay, I need to miss that on purpose. Boom, boom, boom. See that? And notice that every time the orb goes off the right-hand side, it gets respawned back to the left. I'm going to hit that one, and that's going to be it. And it also kept track of lost orbs. This is working. This is doing exactly what we want here. It was respawning back over to the left. It was keeping track of every time we lost an orb. Ha! Cool. All right. So now we have one more function to write, and that is what if the orb comes over, the orb hits the panel, and it goes back across and goes off the left-hand side. It never reappears. That we got to fix that. We can't have that in our game, right? If it goes back off of that left-hand side, man, we got to get it going again. All right, so let's go to work on that. It's going to be one more function that we're going to write. Okay, and I've got I put a comment for you down here, line number 42. So I'm going to bring down this top thing right here. It says my function. All right, I'm going to put it right in there. Try to roll this up a little bit, and let's call this. I'll call it reset. You could just call it reset, but I might just call it reset orb. All right, because if it goes off the left, I kind of want to reset it. Now, let's see if something makes sense to you. Wouldn't it be true that all of these commands right here, orb.x equals 0, orb.y is random, the velocity x is random, the velocity y is 0, wouldn't it be true that this is really exactly what I want to do here? Right? If the orb slips off the left-hand side, I just want to reset it. And I want it to, start off with an x of 0 and a y that's random and a velocity that is random and get it going again. Well, this will work. I'm going to tell you right now, these commands right here, I don't really have to rebuild them. I can copy them, and I can come down here and paste them. Bingo. And I'm going to roll that up a little bit. And that's really what we want that function to do. Oh, but except, here, let me... Sorry. I'm going to pull that off. It has to be inside an if block. Almost got caught there with that. So this is going to be if orb.x is less than 0. There we go. We only want that to happen if the orb has gone off the left-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to say if orb.x is less than 0, then I want all of these things to, and I think I already have it copied, so I'm just going to paste it in there. Whew, okay, that's better. So that should take care of that. Reset orb. If the x value of the orb is less than 0, then do all these things right here. Now, I have created a function called reset orb, but what do I have to do? If I create a function, I have to call the function. So that's where I go back up here to the main program. And when I say the main program, I mean this right here, the draw loop that has all this stuff in it up here. And I'm going to bring over that little skinny one. It's the third one down, call a function. What was the name of that function? What was it called? Reset orb. All right, the names have to match. If your names don't match, it's not going to work. Oh man, we should have a kind of a continuing ongoing game now. Let's reset this and play it a little bit. We'll hit run, and here we go. All right, so you know the orb comes, oh, that one's going to get by. But now, no matter whether it bounces off of the left or off of the right or whatever, the game continues. Now I've got it set so the velocities. Ooh, that one got away. And I haven't solved the problem here of. Oh, you know what? I can solve that problem. I can solve that problem. Let's do this. No, I did. I got that. Yeah. I haven't really. If you get a kind of an angular movement, it can be a little weird, but this is the kind of thing that we're after right here, right? You're just trying to bounce that orb back and forth, and if it gets past the paddle, it's counted as a lost orb. And if you bounce it back, it just kind of fires back at you. And you can control the paddle with up and down movement. And we have organized our code into what's called functions. Right? And again, just reviewing that right here, that I'm going to reset the program here. Those three commands right there. Paddle control, lost orb, and reset orb. Those are function calls. It's saying, okay, do this for me, computer, and do this for me, and do this for me. And when the computer sees those names, it's thinking, okay, what is paddle control anyway? I don't know what that is. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I know what that is. It's right down here. So this little bit of code here, these commands that are in here, that's what paddle control is. And the same thing for lost orb right here. This bit of code, these commands right here, that's what lost orb is. And so whenever it sees that, it knows it has to go do that. Right? So that's how functions work. And that's what we're working on today. So let's give that a roll and see how you do. And like I said, rewind the video, pause the video, do whatever you need to help you along. But let's see if we can solve the problem. Your turn.